Let's move on to our next topic now, shall we? And a new report today has claimed that cows are the new coal. So as we heard earlier, the FAIRR Global Investor Coalition are calling for far more to be done to address emissions from the agricultural sector. So is it time we all went vegan to help address climate change? And Navraj, let me just quote from this commission FAIRR. They say that the emissions from agriculture are on a level with the greenhouse gases emitted by the EU, US and Japan combined. So what's your take on this? Is it possible to farm animals without harming the planet?
I'm surrounded, actually, where I live, I'm surrounded by fields which are full of sheep and cows. So I spend a lot of my time dodging them. But there are all sorts of innovations which animal scientists are engaging with on feedstocks for cattle, but the fundamental issue, I think, is really around what is happening in mass-scale farming, in particular in places like Brazil, where we're not only where the emissions associated with beef in particular are not just the ways in which cows emit gases from both ends, but especially from the deforestation which is associated with that style of raising cattle. And that is a very, very tough nut to crack. I mean, it's, we're again talking about one of those hard to regulate jurisdictions of Bolsonaro's Brazil. So engaging in that sort of context is much, much harder, I think, and equally critical. Food and land use are really, the two of the hardest to abate sectors. Electricity, which is where we started this conversation, is where we've made massive strides, as you've just indicated. But food and land use are really much, much harder, and we've scarcely started working in that space.
Well, that's right, isn't it, Michal? And the decision about whether to go vegan is a very personal one. People want choice, don't they? And telling people what they should eat is going to be very, very tough. No, people want to be able to be individuals, and with something as basic as diet, they want to choose their own food.
You're absolutely right. And I think if we think about, you put out the word vegan out there, and this is very emotional. And you put out anything that relates to food, and we're already in a culture war. And that is important to acknowledge. And it's important for us to do that and bring everyone along with us. And bring everyone along with us is enable a transition to lower carbon lives and livelihoods that will enable us to transition to net zero while not intervening in everybody's diet. But
very quickly,
here's the story, right? If renewables replace fossil fuels, we already have alternatives to meat.